us to go live stream on YouTube, because usually there are some people who missed our event, but then would like to watch it again later on through YouTube channel. Okay. All right. Vivian said burnout. Arifa said determined to make a change. Arida said would like to know more and be more helpful. That's very nice. Others, could you please share how do you feel about the crisis, or what do you want to do? So Ayu, Mbak Puji, Ale, Romo, please share how do you feel or what do you want to do? In the meantime, Arida can start while I put what Gian would like us to do for the tea time exercise. Silakan Arida, the slides is in English. Slides deck is in English.
Nanti exercise-nya Gian, do we need to prepare some tea?
Yeah, I'll put down the information.
Okay, izin share screen ya.
Please do.
Oke, mulai aja?
Ya, monggo.
Iya. Selamat malam Bapak Ibu. Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining this session. It's a collaboration about the global crisis ya, Mbak Amanda. So my presentation is about mindfulness, the basic foundation. Nah, mungkin saya mulai dengan quote. This is a rather old data ya, January 2020, karena saya ketemu yang lebih baru yang tahun 2021. Tapi ini juga udah data yang mengejutkan ya. Jadi dari segi mental health itu kita banyak punya masalah. Dan ini sebelum pandemi ya, sebelum ganas-ganasnya pandemi. Jadi sekarang nih kayaknya bakal lebih tinggi ya. Lebih tinggi lagi data tentang berapa banyak orang yang terkena depresi misalnya. Itu udah sampai 264 juta. Kemudian dari tahun 2005 ini meningkat terus dan di negara maju juga sama ya, di UK, di Amerika itu meningkat terus orang-orang yang menderita depresi. Dan kemudian sekarang ini depresi sudah mulai masuk ke anak-anak yang masih muda ya, umur 13 sampai 18. Dan kemudian kalau depresinya sudah parah banget bisa mengakibatkan bunuh diri gitu. Jadi mindfulness adalah salah satu cara untuk supaya kita bisa lebih sehat ya mentalnya dan menghindari penyakit yang sampai ke disorder dari depresi gitu. Ini perkenalan sedikit, saya itu memang passionnya di mindfulness. Selain itu juga saya senang belajar tentang emotional intelligence. Kemudian saya juga berkecimpung di coaching sama dengan ya Mbak Amanda ya. Dan sekarang juga lagi senang belajar mengenai neuroscience ya, karena menarik banget itu bagaimana brain kita bekerja, dan kemajuan teknologinya sekarang udah sangat sangat terbuka gitu tentang brain ini. Oke, jadi ini agendanya ya, basic mindfulness itu apa, benefitnya apa, kemudian gimana sih cara menjalankannya ya, mungkin udah sering dengar, tapi mindfulness itu memang nggak bisa cuman didengerin aja gitu. It's not to be understood, tapi we need to really experience to understand what it means gitu ya. Sorry ya, aku campur-campur ngomongnya. Oke, jadi mindfulness tuh artinya apa? Nah, ini pionir yang saya rasa memang teman-teman udah tahu di sini ya. Thich Nhat Hanh mengatakan mindfulness itu artinya menyadari apa yang terjadi di dalam dan juga di sekeliling kita di setiap saat ya, in the present moment. Nah, kemudian mindfulness ini kemudian dibawa oleh John Kabat-Zinn untuk dicoba dipraktekin di Amerika waktu itu ya, tahun 79. Kemudian dia memberikan definisi bahwa mindfulness itu adalah kesadaran yang muncul saat kita benar-benar memperhatikan ya dengan sengaja memperhatikan apa yang kita alami di saat sekarang tanpa judgement. Nah, tanpa judgement ini juga unsur yang penting gitu dalam mindfulness. Jadi ini definisinya ya. Jadi untuk membantu ya, kenapa sih emang apa pentingnya gitu ya mindfulness itu. Nah, jadi memang pikiran kita ini hobinya memang lari-lari gitu, makanya suka disebut monkey mind gitu ya, atau suka disebut overthinking ya. Karena memang pikiran kita tuh senangnya itu mengingat-ingat yang sudah lalu atau loncat ke masa depan. Ya, kitanya di sini mungkin di sini ada teman-teman yang udah mikir nih sahur nanti mau masak apa ya gitu. Jadi itu udah loncat ke masa depan atau masih inget tadi buka puasanya wah enak banget tuh gitu ya. Jadi masih mengingat. Nah, mindfulness ini mengajak untuk be present di sini dan sekarang. Kenapa begitu? Nah, Lao Tzu di sini mengatakan kalau kita sering banget mengingat-ingat masa lalu yang sedih-sedih gitu ya, terutama yang negatif, maka kita bisa jadi depressed. Artinya we are living in the past. Kalau kita terlalu cemas sama masa depan, misalnya, aduh saya nggak bisa pulang kampung nih, nggak ketemu sama orang tua, dan sebagainya ya, itu artinya kita living in the future dan kita bisa jadi cemas atau anxiety. Tapi kalau kita living in the present, maka kita bisa merasa lebih damai. Ya, jadi pikiran kita nih yang kita perlu perhatikan. Nah, jadi mindfulness tuh kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia tuh berkesadaran. Sadar terhadap apa yang kita sedang alami di sini dan sekarang. Nah, apa aja sih yang kita bisa sadari nih? Maksudnya apa gitu ya? Artinya kita aware sama apa yang terjadi di sekitar kita melalui panca indera ya. Jadi melalui penglihatan, kemudian apa yang kita dengar, kita sentuh, kita smell gitu ya, kemudian nanti kita kecap. Kalau mindful eating tuh nanti banyak di sini ya menggunakan panca indera, kita mengaktifkan panca indera. Nah, terus berkesadaran tuh artinya juga sadar sama what's going on inside us. Artinya yang di dalam nih ada pikiran, ada emosi, feeling, kemudian ada nafas kita dan body sensation, juga kata-kata kita dan perbuatan kita ya. Jadi namanya self awareness. Jadi dua hal ini ya adalah cara gimana kita bisa menyadari pengalaman kita di setiap saat. Nah, ini benefitnya apa aja? Jadi ini dari hasil research itu udah banyak sekali ya. Sekarang tuh sudah dibuktikan kalau kita rajin berlatih, maka bisa mengurangi stres, depresi, anxiety, ya. Kemudian karena berkurang stres, maka immune system kita akan lebih baik juga ya. Dan kalau kita punya physical pain, bisa berkurang gitu, karena kita tidak melawan rasa sakit itu gitu. Terus kemudian mengurangi negative feeling dan reactivity, apalagi ini sekarang pandemi ya, banyak negative feeling, banyak stres, mungkin burnout gitu ya. Itu karena pikiran kita juga banyak sekali melemparkan pikiran negatif. Nah, jadi dengan begitu kita bisa menumbuhkan rasa yang lebih tenang gitu dan positive feeling. Selain itu latihan-latihan mindfulness itu membantu kita juga untuk fokus ke nafas kan latihannya ya, berarti nanti pada bekerja kita bisa lebih fokus ke apa yang sedang kita kerjakan, bisa konsentrasi dan bisa lebih kreatif. Nah, terakhir ini bagus buat relationship, dibuktikan juga ya dalam research bahwa kalau kita berlatih mindfulness itu bisa mengembangkan rasa empati, welas asih, dan akhirnya hubungan kita dengan orang lain juga bisa lebih baik. Tentunya ini dengan latihan yang rutin. Oke, the next one ini mungkin lebih spesifik ya, tadi ke self-regulation, ke self-awareness. Melakukan latihannya, kita kan tadi lebih self-aware ya, jadi lebih sadar pikiran saya bagaimana, dan pikiran itu bisa menimbulkan emosi, feeling, ya. Dengan begitu kita jadi lebih bisa mengatur emosi gitu. Dan juga pikiran kita nih, atensi kita tuh lagi kemana gitu, ke pikiran yang positif atau ke pikiran negatif, dan kita bisa mengatur ya atensi kita apakah mau mengikuti tuh self talk yang negatif misalnya ya. Jadi artinya secara keseluruhan kita bisa melakukan self regulation yang lebih baik. Nah, sekarang gimana caranya kita mau mempraktekannya ya? Jadi dalam mindfulness itu ada 2 macam latihan. Ada yang formal. Formal ini berarti yang duduk meditasi nih seperti lady yang di tengah ini. Ada yang informal practice yang sehari-hari kita bisa melakukan. Artinya benar-benar menyadari apa yang sedang kita kerjakan ya. Kayak misalnya tadi mindful eating, mindful walking, benar-benar dengan panca indera kita merasakan benar-benar bagaimana sensasi badan gitu ya, dan kemudian panca indera kita benar-benar kita aktif gitu. Ya, nah ini contohnya formal practice. Nanti kita akan latihan ini ya, mindful pause, kemudian mindful breathing. Ini semuanya duduk nih posisinya. Ada awareness, body scan, loving kindness. Kemudian ada meditasi khusus buat menavigasi emosi. Lalu ada juga latihan khusus mindful eating yang memang memang kita latih sengaja ya. Mindful walking juga itu di formal practice, dan sehari kira-kira 10 sampai 15 menit aja. Setiap hari itu juga udah mulai membentuk kesadaran kita. Nah, kalau informal itu macam-macam. Misalnya pagi-pagi kalau sikat gigi ya, itu bisa dilakukan dengan sadar, benar-benar dirasakan di mulut kita misalnya. Atau waktu kita mandi, kita benar-benar ngerasain airnya, wanginya gitu. Ini ada hal di mana kita bisa sambil dalam kehidupan kita melakukannya dengan mindful. Oke. Nah jadi kuncinya di dalam mindfulness itu adalah praktis. Jadi dipraktekkan ya, benar-benar dipraktekkan. Dan kalau bisa mungkin awalnya 21 hari itu non-stop gitu kita melakukan supaya nanti jadi habit baru ya. Nah itu yang tadinya nanti belum belum kompeten, lama-lama nanti jadi akhirnya jadi kompeten dan udah jadi habit baru. Nah, saya sini mau mengajak kita untuk mencoba salah satu latihan namanya mindful pause, atau disingkatnya itu di sini stop ya. Stop itu singkatan dari di sini ya, stop dari kegiatan. Jadi apapun yang sedang dilakukan, misalnya kita lagi kerja gitu ya, kita stop dulu. Jadi tapi kalau lagi nyetir jangan ya, bahaya. Jadi pada waktu kondisi aman ya, kita stop dulu dari apapun yang kita kerjakan. Kemudian kita ambil nafas gitu ya, 3 kali, yang benar-benar we really feel it gitu, we really feel the breath. Rasakannya tuh di sensasi di badan kita. Bisa coba rasakan di dada kita gimana, di hidung kita gimana gitu ya. Nah ini supaya kita berlatih untuk jangan selalu berada di pikiran gitu, tapi benar-benar kita berada di badan tuh artinya benar-benar sedang present di badan kita. Nah, setelah kita memperhatikan nafas kita 3 kali ya, kemudian kita amati nih, tadi kita mikir apa nih, ada pikiran apa. Kemudian emosi saya gimana feeling-nya gitu. Terus badan saya gimana nih rasanya ya. Terus nanti kemudian dengar suara di sekitar gitu, ada aroma apa. Jadi kita benar-benar menyadari apa yang sedang terjadi di sekeliling kita. Setelah kita jeda baru kita melanjutkan kegiatan kita dengan kesadaran dan respon yang dipilih. Yuk, mari kita coba ya. Jadi ini saya stop share dulu, sebentar aja. Kita cobain sensasi mindfulness-nya seperti apa. Ya, oke. Nah, teman-teman boleh tutup mata, kalau mau buka mata juga nggak apa-apa ya. Jadi kita stop dari semua kegiatan, kemudian tarik nafas dan rasakan nafasnya di badan kita. Take a deep breath and feel the sensation of breathing in your body. Ya, rasakan udaranya mengalir masuk ke hidung, kemudian dadanya mengembang, dirasakan. And then exhale slowly. Okay, take another deep breath. Kemudian hembuskan. Waktu kita pay attention ke badan kita, artinya kita sudah keluar dari pikiran. Ya, karena sensasi badan kita itu terjadinya memang di saat ini. Oke, setelah 3 kali nafas, mari kita cek ya, check in. What is it I'm thinking? Sedang ada pikiran apa? Udah gitu, how am I feeling? Ada feeling apa? Dia lalu rasakan sensasi badannya. Mungkin ada bagian yang pegal. Itu rasakan juga misalnya bokong kita menyentuh alas duduk. You can feel our feet touching the ground. Ya, rasakan sensasi badan keseluruhan. Kemudian dengarkan suara-suara sekeliling kita. Selain suara saya, mungkin ada suara kipas angin, AC. What do you hear around you? Maybe you smell something, your perfume, atau someone cooking in the kitchen. Ya, jadi kita benar-benar hadirkan diri kita, being present here and now. Now you can open your eyes. Terus look around. Ya, lihat sekeliling Anda ada benda-benda apa aja. Ya, tanpa dianalisa, hanya melihat ada benda apa saja di sekeliling Anda. Oke, and then setelah itu kita bisa melanjutkan kegiatan kita. Ya, jadi tadi adalah mindful pause. Ya, kita berhenti dari berpikir dan kita rasakan nafas kita. 3 nafas ya. 3 mindful breath. Kemudian kita aktifkan panca indera dan kemudian setelah itu lihat ke dalam pikiran, perasaan, sensasi badan gitu ya. Itu mudah sekali dan kalau bisa diulangi sesering mungkin. Ya, jadi ini saya kutip, ada kutipan bagus saya dapat dari web. Practice the pause. Kalau ragu kita pause. Kalau marah gitu atau ada emosi-emosi yang nggak enak, kita pause dulu gitu supaya kita tidak reaktif ya. Itu stres, frustrasi gitu. Jadi pause ini sangat berguna ya untuk kita bisa memilih respon yang lebih baik. Oke, ini teman-teman yang mau latihan lebih banyak, saya ada latihan bulanan nanti tanggal 29 kalau berkenan nanti bisa mendaftar ke sini ya. So, jadi seperti itu tadi sedikit basic mindfulness dan latihan yang bisa dilatih sebentar-sebentar 2-3 menit ya untuk ngebantu kita untuk tidak terlalu overthinking, mengurangi stres ya dan membuat kita lebih bisa enjoy gitu your present experience. Thank you. Mbak Amanda masih
Thank you, Arida. Thank you so much. For those who have questions, yang ada pertanyaan, silahkan dituliskan di chat room, questions and comments. It doesn't have to be a question, it's up to you. You can also share your experience or your thoughts, your opinions if you have any. But please make this chat really alive and festive. So I will turn this now to Gian. Gian, can you introduce yourself as well as explain the exercise that you're going to ask us go through and what's the preparation?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming in today. And I'm super humbled. And thank you, Amanda, for getting me on for this session as well. Before I start off with my presentation about what we do at Tasty Teaching, we do have a short exercise after the presentation. For those who are interested, I would like you to grab any beverage of your preference. It could be warm, hot, cold. It could be still or bubbles, anything that you prefer. I have a cup here, for example, but it's very important that it has to be in a glass or a cup and not a bottle. So while you hear me and the presentation, you please feel free to go and grab yourself a beverage. All right, I'm quickly going to share my screen. All right. So starting off, Tasty Teaching is the birth child, as Amanda mentioned, of the Food and Climate Shapers Digital Bootcamp, hosted by the Future Food Institute in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in July last year. We are a team of 3 people: Evelina, who's a psychologist, Vivian, who's a technologist, and I am a research culinologist. We currently focus on mental well-being through culinary pedagogy and mindful eating. Culinary pedagogy, again, I'll get into it as we go through the presentation. As Arida mentioned, and I would like to mention as well, poor mental health overall reduces the lifespan by 10 to 25 years, and diet plays a very, very important factor. Physical or emotional distress increases the intake of food high in fat, sugar, or both. A healthy diet can increase your lifespan by 12 to 14 years. These are some of the problems that we choose to focus on through Tasty Teaching. Our solution, as mentioned, to promote mental well-being through culinary pedagogy and mindful eating. It's quite important, and as we all know, that the pandemic, COVID-19, has caused a lot of mental well-being issues, or people have begun realizing it, that there is an issue that needs to be focused on in this crisis. And it has resulted in poor food choices through either excess availability or the lack of availability of different kinds of resources. E-commerce has played a very, very important role in India when it comes to the logistics and supply chain of cooked meals around the country, while at the same time there is a shortage for protein. India is also known to be a protein deficit country, though we have an abundance of protein within the country. Keeping that in mind, we also show traditional malnutrition within the country. India is also known to be, in the corporate sector, to be the most stressed out country in the whole of South Asia. As you are aware, work, finance, and family and community, let it be work from home, let it be unemployment, or even overworking. Finance in terms of disposable income or lack of income. Family as in people being together at home, nuclear families, joint families, or people those who are not used to being in such a scenario are put together right now. Overall, the community has played a very important role, which all together has resulted in a lot of stress. Either unrecognized or newfound realization has played a very important role in the output of the person. Let's turn food practices as a tool to promote mental well-being and therefore reduce stress, indirectly healthy and happy minds. This is something that we are working on currently while bringing the community together. A new approach to food. As mentioned earlier, culinary pedagogy is simply educating people about food, different aspects of food, not just eating and cooking, but everything to do with food. Food gamification is something we hope to do in future, and keeping the value of mindfulness through this, and keep reward systems as well through apps. Empowering community superheroes is something that we have been doing for the past couple years, where in the city of Bangalore in India, we empowered housewives and homemakers to establish food businesses that can help solve the crisis and empower the entire community as well. Corporate workshops is something that we are currently prototyping with a few small and medium enterprises in India. As you know, the Tasty Teaching is the birth child of the FFI and the FAO. We did have a culinary hackathon, as Amanda mentioned earlier. Keeping that in mind, we were the first runner-ups for the same, and we were given the opportunity to present our ideology to the at an event for the World Food Day, and it was a virtual 24-hour session that went on, and we had the opportunity to present it over there. This is something we did this year. Again, one of our verticals focusing on digitization. Can you guys hear me? Amanda, am I audible?
Yeah, we can see you. Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is something we started doing. I think we have some disturbance.
Yeah. Bisa tolong disenyapkan yang tidak berbicara. Hello. Okay, go on.
All right. Sorry for the disturbance, and I think my internet is a little bad today. But going forward, this is one of our verticals that we tend to focus on, and we had an amazing opportunity to present ourselves at one of the first virtual international food trade shows, where we had over 75 countries participate and over 3,000 participants. We took certain values of tasty teaching, tea time, as we would be doing after the session. And we tried, and this was over 4 days. It was a very, very good experience for us because we had people from all across the globe participate for the same session. This is something we did with Google and Dell in India, where we started focusing on certain skill sets while bringing people together. All of this was through food. As you can see, these 4 beautiful people who have never worked with food in their life. As you all see, they're all bachelors and young people. And we focused on communication strategy, team building, and sustainability through food activities. And we focused on mindfulness, encompassing all these values together. And we brought people together from different teams. We did the same with Dell as well. This is something we do with the Future Food Institute and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. As you can see here, there is a session that we participate in called Reflection Bites. In this image, you can see a school of 15 students in Italy. And keeping that in mind, we also have people from around the globe. And we focused on reflection by and prosperity thinking and ecosystemic thinking. Again, food being at the epicenter of all of this. We have a small video here. I would like to play it if that's possible, Amanda.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So before I start off, in case the net drops, but this is an exercise we did with children by removing some of their sensorials. Of course, you can see they are blindfolded. And again, it's revolving around food. And we gave them the same ingredients that they are used to every day. But by removing one sensory, which is vision, they could not realize what they were eating, which was quite interesting. While on the contrast, we also introduced new ingredients to them that they would otherwise visually hate while they began liking them. I'd like to play it.
Oh, so you're putting food in their mouth?
Yes. So you can see it was quite interesting because once we removed the blindfolds, a lot of them were like, "What? I know this." But then after they were blindfolded, they did not know what it was. However, they grew up eating it, and some of them they were even given raspberry vinegar, fish sauce, different types of curry pastes, and they liked them. However, when they look at them, even aubergine visually hate them. So it was quite interesting to see how, if you eliminate or add some sensories that you currently have, how it can change the effect you have on your mind. This is something that we are working on right now: culinary meditation, food gamification, as mentioned earlier, through reward systems, culinary de-stressing, and cook-alongs. Cook-alongs definitely has to be virtual right now, but we also have done offline versions of these. For example, the Google exercise. As you can see at the bottom, here are a few people that we are currently prototyping and ideating these ideologies with. These are some of our validative statements. Google has pledged support if we can come up with something in the near future. Value proposition, we mainly would like to create an impact on SDG 3, 4, and 17, good health and well-being, quality education, and partnership for the goals, indirectly affecting SDG 2 and 12, which is zero hunger and responsible consumption and production. These are a few of our partners. Our potential brand is Tasty Teaching. Food Techies Finland is our support partner. Cake is one of my brands that I currently am working on right now. Validated network partner, and we currently are prototyping our enterprise and corporate models with Clean India Journal. As mentioned earlier, Tasty Teaching is about mental well-being through culinary pedagogy and mindful eating. Before we get into questions, I was interested if anyone had any questions.
Gian, if you don't mind, before your exercise, I would like to invite Alessandra from the Eco Camp, because she has to leave soon, but she has something interesting to share about their experience at Eco Camp. Perhaps Ale, you could explain what Eco Camp is in short sentences, and then you can explain about the mindfulness eating experience there.
Okay, Bu Amanda, thank you so much for the time. And hello, everyone. My name is Maria Alexandra Iskandar, but you can call me Alessa or Ale for short. And I am very glad to be given the chance to talk about my personal experience with Eco Camp and this mindfulness journey. So, and in Eco Camp, we believe that as you know, a big part of this community living on the same home we call Earth, we are interconnected with one another. But with this fast pacing world, we just keep on going and going and going, and we're not fully there. We're always thinking somewhere far ahead, just like Marida said, or we're stuck in the past. And it's always been like that, and it caused so much suffering for a lot of us, and especially for youth my age. And that also drives us to feel a lot of emotion that we are not fully we don't understand why we are feeling that, and we don't know how to deal with them. And in Eco Camp, it's a place where we can take a break from all of that, sit down, be aware of our breathing, opening up our senses to the nature next to us, to the river flowing, to the birds chirping. And another way we would like to appreciate this whole planet just giving itself, Mother Earth giving to us, is through our food. And we personally in EcoCamp have been talking a lot about how actually the food system is also the #1 driver of climate change, climate crisis, because according to one study, almost up to 60% of the total greenhouse gases emitted can be traced back into how you eat. So, you know, the food system and how we see food just as, you know, feed, just as commodities hanya untuk memenuhi kebutuhan kita, makes us unaware when we are eating them. So in EcoCamp, we have this one practice, and it's the mindful eating, Mbak Arida. We call it also mindful eating, where we ask, you know, participants or those who visit EcoCamp to first we take the food mindfully and already in silence. And then when we are done taking the food, we sit in our tables and they will read us the 7 awareness before eating, where we would like to appreciate the whole earth participating into creating what we eat in front of us. You know, the sun rays, the rain, the farmers, the microbes, the worms, all of that in our plate. And then we eat in silence for 7 minutes. And then after that, we say thank you. And then we can continue on with communicating with others next to us. And that is what we have been trying to practice in EcoCamp Ibu Amanda. Thank you so much for the time. Maybe Father Ferry here is the head of EcoCamp now. Maybe Father Ferry can add a little bit more to that. But thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Ale. Ale is also one of our youth climate reality leaders who is also active being a mentor for youth leadership camp for climate crisis participant. Terima kasih. And she's now working for The Body Shop Indonesia. Okay. All right. Any question or comment untuk Gian? Silahkan, you can raise it in Bahasa Indonesia or in English about the tasty teaching. But may I have the first question, because I'm really curious. When you talk about mindful eating, at least I have some understanding what mindful eating is, because Ale just explained mindful eating. But what is mindful cooking? Can you explain?
Yes, I can explain that with an example. So this is something that we did at the Food E-Show, where, for example, something such as dough making. So, for example, we have roti, and I'm sure you guys know what roti is. Roti is the flatbread. We started off by, okay, so let me talk about one attribute of it. We had parts of de-stressing and mindfulness at the same time, where you start off with taking the bowl, you start off by adding the flour, and when you add the flour, you take a moment to even feel the textural attributes, the aroma of the flour, the temperature of the flour. When your hand goes into it, can you compare the temperature differences? So right from those levels to the kneading practice, on how nature reacts to every move that you do. You push against it slowly, it tries to push back. It's the same, it's like a dance. And this is something that Japanese chefs do, a lot of Chinese chefs do while noodle making. There's a lot of art in noodle making where you see chefs close their eyes and they visualize waves, and they try and transfer the motion of the waves to how they mix the flour. So there's a lot of mindfulness that goes into appreciating the ingredient and how you can connect these ingredients with nature and how nature acts in real life. So not only it brings you closer to the ingredient, but also closer to nature in its own way, while helping you relax and de-stress, because the pushing action into the dough also behaves as a stress buster. So you want to remove your anger out, go slow on the dough and work your way through it, because as and when you keep moving through that dough, you also see how it's transforming from something as simple as a powder format to something that you can mold, something that you can create. And when you look at your results at the end of the day, where your thoughts and actions have resulted of something as simple as a grain being turned into something that's flat, round, the colors change, the textures change, and you're going to eat it. So it's the entire journey at the end is what I would say.
Right. One more thing. We all know that India and Indonesia use lots of herbs and spices in our food. So do you smell the spices that you will sneeze instead of being mindful? So do you do anything with the spices?
With these spices, yes. As you mentioned, I would never advise someone to smell chili powder, but herbs is something that we are looking at. Now, there's a very interesting study where spices in particular styles can contribute to different emotions. So, in Indian traditional culture, it's mentioned where different types of cuisines can impact the way you think. For example, there's something Indian curried pickles, for example, or let us say spicy food and oily food can tend to have a lot of anger attributes to it or short temperedness to it. Food high in salt does cause blood pressure, and then blood pressure also increases in you being short tempered in its own way. So it's very interesting on how certain. So I would probably stay away from these spices, but go towards herbs. So even let's say tearing open a coriander leaf, for example, or the orange peel being rubbed on your palm, or even if it is being involved in the cooking process, how you can subject yourself to it without sneezing, of course, at the end.
There is a question. What kind of Indonesian spices that is good for increasing mindfulness? I think what kind of spices, can we just take the Indonesian out so that Gian can answer the question?
I would say go for spices that are a lot more mellow, not something that is sharp, because now mindfulness starts. You cannot begin with mindfulness immediately. You need to begin with reflection. So reflection would be your previous thoughts, something that you have encountered. So for, let's say, example, something as simple as chicken soup. Maybe there was a way your mother cooked it or something you grew up eating. There's always this saying where you smell something and it takes you back to an old scenery, and you can imagine something happening in your mind where you go back to that particular story and then you're imagining that in your mind, and then you take that's one way on how you can become mindful, by reflecting on your previous thoughts and actions, but not something that you cannot reflect on. That's one way of looking at mindfulness. So it's the even the journey is step by step towards being mindful, I would say.
Arida, any comment on this mindful eating or mindful cooking? Your perception or your experience?
Yeah, I like cooking. I really enjoy cooking, and usually before the Idul Fitri, we have this tradition of making apa sih namanya, kue kering tuh apa, cookies ya?
Cookies.
Cookies, and we shape the cookie, yeah, and then we mix it, and then we shape it, and then we put cheese on it. So we can do that mindfully, and then it's very enjoyable to do mindful cooking, especially if you like cooking. If you don't like cooking, at least when you pay attention to what you're doing and not in the mind thinking all the time, that can release stress. I agree with Ian. And maybe you get to enjoy cooking.
True,
when
and
you do it.
I would like to add on to that, because a lot of housewives in India tend to make rotis because they seem to be the experts in the action. It's always the mums or the aunties who make the rotis at home. And if you see the entire roti making process, it's so cumbersome, and you always know the kitchen's going to be warm. You've got the hot pan that's big, that's smoking on one side. You've got them rolling it out and then throwing it on the pan while that's cooking. You're doing the other one. It's so stressful to even look at it, though it might seem like a dance to some people. But then, if we can even slow down that process and reflect on each and every action, that can be turned into something that's mindful. So, you're not spending time to do a separate exercise, like, for example, yoga, at least from for our perspective, but you're trying to turn your everyday food activity and add a level of mindfulness to it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. So, you know that Arida has twins. So it must be enjoyable, you know, with the twins cooking, kneading, and rolling the dough.
Yeah, the other day that my daughter also wants to mix it, but she sort of like ruined the dough. But then
Okay.
I remember, okay, she wants to experience also the cooking, so okay, I'll let it go. Because the moms, they want the cookie perfect, right? But then the child also wants to play with it. So yeah, we have to
Right.
give the children a chance to also try enjoy cooking.
Be flexible. Okay, Gian, can we do the exercise now? I have
Of course.
my cup ready here.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
I think we have one question from somebody from over here.
Yeah, Ibu Lindayani, please. Oh, there's the question. Is there any similarity to inhaling the vapors from aromatherapy?
Could you, I think that would be a lot more medicinal, don't you agree?
Right.
Aromaterapi ya, Mbak.
Mm.
Iya,
Yeah.
ya memang dalam teorinya sih beberapa aroma itu mempengaruhi our mood ya. Some aroma will influence our mood. Misalnya seperti lemon, katanya itu the lemon scent is good to make us more productive, for example. Itu aromaterapi ya. Tapi from the mindfulness standpoint itu adalah benar-benar menyadari wanginya gitu, menikmati wanginya ya. Jadi mindfulness adalah itu tadi benar-benar merasakan lewat sensing kita wanginya gitu. Nah, masalah manfaatnya kan itu it's a different topic ya, itu tentang apa manfaat aroma terhadap mood kita, terhadap feeling kita gitu. Itu bagus juga sih aromaterapi.
Can you translate for Gian?
I'm a little lost.
Okay.
No, I mean I'm trying to link the
Ibu Arida.
aromatherapy. Ya.
Thank you.
Oh iya,
Terima kasih banyak.
iya. Iya, jadi dengan mindful juga ya menghirup aromanya itu nanti jadi lebih menikmati. So I'm trying to explain, why aromatherapy when you really inhale mindfully, then you can really enjoy the benefit of it because it does affect your mood, your feeling, some aromas.
Would that be like incense sticks, for example?
I never burn incense, but I think that's one of the senses from your smell that can help you feel something. But aromatherapy, sometimes we use the oil from essential oil, and we put that in like a burner, and there's a lot of types of aroma, like lavender. Lavender makes you calm. Then there's peppermint, there's lemon, all kinds of aroma.
Father Ferry, can you explain about the essential oils produced at EcoCamp? He says there is a therapeutic healing effect. Ada ya Romo Ferry? Masih mute mo?
Mute.
Okay. Good evening to Ibu Amanda and all my friends. There are also many here from EcoCamp. Those who are working at EcoCamp or also alumni of EcoCamp. At EcoCamp, we also not really produce, but we repack essential oils. I'm not very expert in this. Ibu Shirley is expert. And we find out that essential oil is very good, not because of the smell, of the mindfulness effect, but also with the therapeutic healing effect. So we have also combined yoga and essential oil and mindfulness practice at EcoCamp. We have around 30 to 50 different types of oils, and everybody can choose which aroma, but also which therapeutic effect they need. Usually Ibu Shirley and Ibu Luna who will conduct the workshop for everybody.
Okay, so I just realized that you can, for mindfulness practice, we can also, instead of music, we can also have essential oils, right? Aromatherapy, would it help? I think it would.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Usually we
So-
combine it with yoga.
Okay. All right. Let's have the exercise and then we'll have some of the participants share their experience.
Ada satu pertanyaan tuh dari
Oh.
Sunik, mau dijawab apa nanti aja?
Nanti aja dulu ya, biar Gian exercise dulu.
All right. Okay. It's a simple exercise. So as mentioned earlier and by Amanda, I hope those who would like to participate, please have your beverage ready. So number one, position yourself comfortably. You do not have to directly look in front of the screen, but as long as you can hear me, I think you're good for now. As mentioned earlier, it could be any type of beverage you need, as long as it's in a cup or a glass. That's very important. Do try, for this exercise, I would ask you guys to hold the beverage with both your hands. You could hold it as if there is a handle, hold it that way. I do not have a handle, I have a glass, I'm holding it this way. You can hold it this way. But it's important that you hold it with both your hands. Now, looking at your beverage, take your first sip and take a moment to begin reflecting on everything you have engaged with today. Take a deep breath. And breathe out. Between sips, feel free to take your eyes off the cup and look around. Just make sure you have both your hands on the cup at all times. Look around and observe your environment and space. You may start to notice that there are thoughts floating in. Things that you have to do today. Maybe your desk is messy. Maybe it's a conversation that's going on in your head about something that you had today. Don't try to push those thoughts away, but at the same time, don't feed on them. Just observe them, accept that they are there, and continue to focus on enjoying your drink and be present in this moment. Continue to sip on your beverage at your own pace and be present in the moment. When you have finished your drink, feel free to set the cup down to the side and close your eyes. Please set aside your drink, even if you haven't finished, and close your eyes, and let's take one more moment of silence. Whenever you are ready, open your eyes. We hope you have enjoyed this session that we call Tea Time. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you so much. When we're planning this event, Gian, I remember you mentioned about impact. So how do you see the impact of this tea time exercise, especially with the participants of your events online?
So what we have tried to focus on is something that we do every day, which especially in India, which is having tea. Or there's always a session during the day which is usually considered a smoke break, where people step out and probably go for a smoke. But keeping in mind the current situations, we do have the pandemic, and a lot of us are home, especially me. I have not stepped out of the house in 1 month. There comes a time when we tend to sip on a lot of beverages while sitting at our desk. I go through, let's say, 4 cups of coffee a day. Keeping that perspective in mind, and also the fact that you cannot leave the house, we try and engage people with something that they are used to, for example, the tea time, and try and change the way they look at sipping on tea. Rather than using one hand and sipping on it while you're typing, we have changed the way they look at the tea by engaging both the hands at the cup. So you know you cannot touch your phone, you know you cannot touch your laptop. So you know that a lot of the focus begins at the cup. And when you have both your hands cupped together, the temperature changes there. Had it just been one hand, you usually have the handle and you would not realize the temperature. When you have both your hands cupped together, or even if they are touching the surface, you begin noticing the temperature. So you're trying to divert thoughts from a mainstream setup, which is looking at the screen, towards the beverage. And then when you look down at the beverage, you start noticing the color, which you would not otherwise, because probably it's just where you're sipping on this, because it becomes muscle memory. You do not need to look at a beverage while sipping on it because you do it every day. So by removing the action of muscle memory and genuinely putting thought into it, it slowly starts becoming impactful. And putting that into practice, it becomes a habit. And that habit, something that you do every day, if you change the way you look at it step by step, it can prove to be impactful. Something as simple as holding it with both hands, because you're diverting attention from the screen to your beverage. Looking into it means you know you're not looking into the screen. Staying away, positioning yourself away from the screen also means you're not close to a device. You can just hear me. I tend to do this while having just one light in the room, where it's calm, it's quiet, it's not bright anymore. You tend to relax your body, you tend to relax your mind, because you're constantly looking at different colors, you're constantly looking at different things. So trying to reduce it. Even the aspect of meditation does not mean nothingness, but it also means trying to focus on one attribute rather than focusing on 10,000 different thoughts. So it's the same thing we're trying to do over here. That's the impact. So people are not taking time off what they do, but taking time within what they do already.
Thank you. Father Ferry, Romo, if you're still there, how do you compare it with the tea time or tea ceremony at Eco Camp? Because you also have tea ceremony at Eco Camp, and I've done it several times with you and the Eco Camp staff.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, just the same. Just the same, yeah. But as Arida mentioned, actually, our teacher, indirect teacher, is Thich Nhat Hanh. So in 2015, we went to Plum Village. We went to in 2015 and 2016, and we also joined the Plum Village retreat in Indonesia many times. Most of our staff joined the retreat, and after that, since 2015, we try to everybody who come to EcoCamp will be served with tea ceremony when they come. And even now, if we do our online course, we always start the course also with the tea ceremony, even though it is online. And the effect is very deep, yeah. People really are touched in their heart, and they open up to the nature, to the universe, and be thankful for the life we experience. Just the same like Arida and Gian as have already explained.
But yours is always hot tea, right, Romo?
Yeah, always hot tea.
Okay. With
Because
Gian,
we can feel
yeah.
the warmth. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it is not only the tea, also the reflection that it is not only tea, but also we have clouds in our cup. The whole universe is in our cup.
Okay, that makes sense. Gian, you said it can be bubble drink or still drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. For those of you who just joined us, why we have this session is because currently we are facing crisis after crisis, the pandemic, the climate crisis, hunger crisis, financial crisis. So we are trying to talk about a method to cope so that we are still sane. How do we keep our mental and health well-being? That's why we talk about mindfulness and then mindful eating and cooking. There are two guests that I would like to comment on what we've just heard. Arida's presentation, Gian's, and then the practices. We have here Mr. Ahmad Huzairin, and we also have Mrs. Susan Hartono, if you don't mind commenting. Perhaps Pak Febi, Pak Ahmad Huzairin, if you're still here. Masih ya?
Semuanya.
Monggo, silakan Pak.
Saya bisa dengar tidak ya?
Bisa. Tapi Bapak bisa unmute nggak Pak? Masih mute Pak Ahmad Huzairin?
Sekarang sudah ini sudah
hilang Pak. Di situ terlihat masih mute Pak.
Mental kayaknya Bu.
Yeah, but could you explain to us who Pak Ahmad is, Arifa, before he joined in again?
He's coming.
Oke. Oke, silakan Pak.
Ya, tadi koneksi internetnya mungkin sedang jelek. Ya, terima kasih. Ini acara yang sangat bagus sekali. Saya diundang Teh Arifah, teman saya. Saya sendiri lebih ke praktisi meditasi Buddhism sebetulnya. Jadi memang kalau di Buddhism lebih ke bagaimana kita mindfulness-nya menyadari disebutnya kontak-kontak indria. Kontak indria itu adalah mata yang kontak dengan objek-objek visual, telinga dengan objek-objek suara, hidung dengan objek-objek bebauan, dan lidah dengan rasa, tubuh dengan sentuhan, dan ada yang kelima yaitu pikiran dengan kontak dengan objek-objek mental. Nah, yang disebut kontak tadi, 6 indria dengan objek-objeknya itu harus selalu kita sadari sebagaimana adanya. Sebagaimana adanya ini adalah maksudnya jika misalnya indria kita kontak dengan objek tidak terlalu cepat dimaknai beserta reaksi emosi, tapi kontak mata sebagai kontak mata, kontak telinga sebagai kontak telinga. Jadi tadi seperti oleh pembicara yang lain juga sudah disampaikan, kita harus ada jeda dulu, stop, tidak langsung bereaksi terhadap experience, pengalaman-pengalaman yang dialami oleh kontak-kontak indrawi. Jadi mungkin lebih general seperti itu. Sedangkan malam ini para pembicara lebih spesifik, saya kira itu sangat bagus sekali untuk praktek mindfulness dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Sangat bagus sekali.
Oke Pak, terima kasih. Arifa already translated what Pak Ahmad mentioned in the chat room. Gian, if you can read that. Mr. Ahmad Hazairin is practicing Buddhism meditation, and he talked about the senses, the human senses. So that's basically it. Terima kasih Pak. Kalau mau komen silakan Pak, beri masukan karena kita nih orang-orang yang kurang berpengalaman dengan hal yang begini-begini. Bapak kan jam terbangnya sudah tinggi sekali seperti Romo Ferry. Oke. We have Ibu Sus.
There is something that interesting in Pak Ahmad Hazairin eating mindful eating. He is not a vegan. He eats meat, but he doesn't want to eat. He doesn't want to be the cause of killing for the animal he eats. Pak Ahmad, maybe you want to talk about that? It's interesting.
Gimana makan tapi nggak dibunuh?
So if you give him meal with chicken, it's okay for him. But if he come to a seafood what do you call it? A seafood restaurant, and the food is still alive, and the restaurant has to kill the food because he wants to eat it. He doesn't want to do that. I think that's also a practice of mindful eating. Maybe Gian have a way to explain how people have that kind of mindfulness in eating.
So yeah, usually we see fishes swimming around in a seafood restaurant, and we said we want that, and then they get the fish alive and then kill the fish or fry the fish directly and then serve it to us. So that's the kind of thing that Pak Ahmad Hazairin doesn't want to be involved in. Iya Pak.
Iya, jadi lebih ke saya terima apa yang ada di atas meja, ya walaupun itu daging, karena sudah bukan lagi berupa makhluk hidup, itu masih saya terima. Tapi saya tidak ingin terlibat dalam yang menyebabkan terbunuhnya makhluk lain seperti memesan makanan yang masih hidup.
Oke, understood. Terima kasih Pak, sangat menambah wawasan. Romo Father Ferry said that at Eco Camp we only provide vegetarian food because of ecological reason. Okay, all right. Thank you for the information. Ibu Susan, bisakah Ibu berbicara baik dengan kamera maupun tidak dan memperkenalkan siapa Ibu dan apa yang Ibu lakukan? We have Susan Hartono here. She will explain what her specialty and what she's doing and what she believes in.
Halo, selamat malam Ibu Amanda. Thank you so much. Senang sekali sebetulnya malam ini. Salam kenal kepada semua pembicara dan Bapak Ibu sekalian. Thank you Bu diberi kesempatan memberikan komen. It's very lovely, very useful webinar today, especially myself. I practice intuitive and mindfulness for quite some times, and I usually help people with eating disorder and stress eaters using mindfulness, and then apply mindful eating as part of their self-healing practice. So hearing today's webinar is really useful, and it's really I think this is what people need to hear more of this kind of webinar in the future, because mindfulness actually can be applied in anything, and this is a form of self-awareness. And then definitely, I think, especially during this crisis, people should be practicing mindfulness more and more. So yeah, this is very lovely webinar, Bu.
Thank you, Ibu. So Ibu Susan is a popular speaker in webinars, Instagram live chat on apa ya Bu? Self healing? Do you do what do you
Yeah,
do?
background saya di self healing menggunakan beberapa healing modalities. Tetapi sebetulnya yang utama saya bergerak di holistic nutrition, Bu. Dan disitulah saya berkesempatan untuk membantu mereka yang mempunyai masalah dengan eating disorder dan stress eating dan berbagai masalah kesehatan. Biasanya saya combine holistic nutrition perspective with self-healing aspect.
Yeah, that sounds difficult and interesting. But what's your Instagram account, Bu? Can you write it down on the chat room so that
Yes.
we could follow? Also, Arida, your Instagram account. Gian, please also share your Instagram account. EcoCamp juga, supaya nanti we can follow the handle. Siapa lagi ya tadi? Oke, kalau misalnya ada teman-teman yang mau komen, silakan. Oh, tadi ada pertanyaan ya. Arida, untuk Arida ya?
Iya, tadi dari Sunik.
Monggo, silakan.
Ini Mbak apa Mas ya, Sunik?
Masih The question
ada
is...
Mbak, itu dosen dari Malang.
Oh, oke.
Dari alumni EcoCamp juga.
Okay. She was in our last meeting.
Okay, so the method for body scan.
Yeah.
Because you said there are several types of mindfulness practice, right? And she asked about body scan.
Yeah, body scan tuh latihan one of the important practice in mindfulness is body scan, karena mungkin many of us is no longer in tune with our body, ya. Jadi latihannya itu kita mulai mengenali lagi the sensations of each part of the body. Itu latihannya bertahap dari kepala. Itu kita mengenali sensasinya bagaimana, and then we just observe apa adanya gitu. Bagaimana sensasinya, tujuannya supaya kita mulai mengenal lagi badan kita. Karena ini penting banget, karena bagaimana kita mau mengelola emosi kita juga dari mengenal sensasi badan ya. Mengenal emosi, kemudian bagaimana kita bisa mendapatkan kayak intuisi, itu juga dari feeling. Dan feeling itu di badan kita juga gitu. Jadi ini latihan-latihan yang penting banget sebetulnya untuk kita lebih mengenal feeling kita ya. Mengenal feeling, maka kemudian kita bisa mengenali juga what is the thinking behind it. kenapa kalau ada feeling ini, biasanya ada pikiran di belakangnya ya. Jadi itu juga hubungannya dengan self-awareness sama self-regulation. Nantinya gitu. Kira-kira gitu sih pendeknya ya, tapi kalau tertarik nanti ikutan latihannya ya, banyak kok di YouTube banyak. Kalau misalnya tertarik lihat di IG saya juga ada waktu-waktu jadwal latihan juga ya, bisa berlatih sama-sama.
Oke, baiklah. Apakah ada pertanyaan lagi? So Gian also shared the LinkedIn Tasty Teaching. Also Arida and Ibu Susan, the Instagram account is Self-Awareness Network. I always follow that, Bu. I always look at your Instagram. Also Arida's. So if there is no question or comment, my plan for our last few minutes is to share the resources, and it's already there. So please write down or note if you're interested. The Tasty Teaching that Gian explained is there, Tasty Teaching at foodtechis.fi. Jakarta Mindfulness is there, Jakarta_mindfulness. Omar Niode Foundation is at Omar Niode. Climate Reality Indonesia at Climate Reality INA, and Ibu Susan at Self-Awareness Network, and EcoCamp at eco.learningcamp. Lots of interesting things going on with all these organizations or initiatives. And I hope this is not our only session. I hope we can have more sessions like this and explore how mindfulness and its variety of practices can help us cope with the global crisis, including hunger, COVID-19, as well as the climate crisis and the financial crisis. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Kak Puji, Kak Ayu, kemudian Romo Ferry. Thank you, Gian. Thank you, Arida, Ibu Lindayani, yang belum muncul, tadi belum ada komen. Ibu Kori, Ibu Paulina, terima kasih. Ibu Melody, Yoha Gagarini, Aida, tim EcoCamp, semuanya terima kasih. Juga Ibu Florentina. Thank you so much. Until we meet again.
Terima kasih. Bye,
Bye,
Gian.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Please
Good
be
night.
mindful. Don't forget to be mindful. Bye.
Masih ada yang masuk tuh.
Asik.
Makasih Bu Amanda.
Yuk, terima
Terima
kasih.
kasih, Bu. Bu Amanda,
Terima
Bu
kasih.
Arida.
Thank you so much.
Terima
Ya,
kasih
thank you very
semuanya.
much. Ya, Romo
Thank
Ferry,
you, Mo,
terima
waktunya,
kasih.
Mo.
Ya, terima kasih.
waktunya, Mo.
Thank you for all. Ya.
Kasih.
Bye.